Hi, Fiona Lewis here from Super Savvy Business with this week's SEO and traffic news update. A couple of things have come up throughout the week with some of my Savvy Mastermind clients, and I thought that they were quite important topics and that I should discuss them on our weekly video. So here we go. The very first thing I want to talk about is the importance of doing your research when it comes to keywords, especially if you are at the beginning of setting your business up. The mistake a lot of people make is first of all, they don't do any research. Well, you really need to know what sort of words are going to drive traffic to your website. Now, there's two different kinds of words that you need to be looking for. There are the words that you're going to optimize your pages for, your static pages, i.e. your home page, your about page, perhaps a page about your services. Now, these are probably the sorts of keywords that have a high search volume and are probably going to be a little bit more competitive than some of the others. One thing you should ensure though, especially if you're sending traffic to a static page where you're selling something, is that these keywords are buying keywords. Well, how do you know what a buying keyword is? There's a couple of little things that you can do. First of all, go into Google and put the keyword into the search bar and press enter. You'll see a whole pile of search results come through. But what you want to be looking for is whether or not there are any Google AdWords. Are people actually paying to advertise for that keyword? Now, if you see ads along the top and then you see them down the side, then that's a really good indicator that these keywords are what we call buying keywords. In other words, people who use those keyword phrases when they go online are ready to take their credit cards out and spend money. Okay, so once you've found those buying keywords for your main static pages, and I do recommend that you don't ever have more than one keyword per page, by the way. I often see a lot of people trying to optimize their web pages for more than one keyword. That is a big no-no. You really shouldn't do that. But what you'll find when you're doing your keyword research is you find a lot of phrases which are quite long in length, perhaps 3 to 5 words, and they have a much lower search volume. Let's say maybe 50 searches a month or a couple of hundred searches a month. Those keywords are really important in regards to using for your blogs or your news. Don't ignore them, because this is what I like to call the low-hanging fruit. These are the keywords that a lot of the bigger businesses can't be bothered going after because they've got such a low search volume. But let's imagine that once or twice a week you put content on your site that is optimized for these low-hanging fruit, long-tail keyword phrases, and then you started to get a couple of visits per week on each of these particular pages. Now, if you put several pages a week, this is all going to add up over the space of a year and over the space of 2 years. And these low-hanging fruit can actually, in combination, bring you a large volume of traffic. And they often can be a lot easier to rank for. So don't ignore that low-hanging fruit. They don't necessarily have to be the buying keywords. It's great if you can find them, but they don't have to be the buying keywords, because you can bring people into your site that are looking for information, and then whilst they're there, they might see that you have your products and services on sale that are related to your market or your niche. Now, I could spend a lot of time going into depth in regards to this topic, but this is something that I don't really have time for on this video, but we do cover this in quite a lot of detail through the Savvy Mastermind program, and this is what I'm working on with my private clients. Now, next thing that came up this week was one of my clients had a report done on one of their websites by a third party on the state of their on-page optimization, and she passed it through to me because she wanted to know what I thought of it. Now, there were some really good points made by this external organization, but it was quite scary really, because my client had paid a fair bit of money for this particular report, and although, as I say, they'd made some very valid points, they had missed out an awful lot of things, and these were important things too. They weren't little things, and some of the things that they picked up on were important, but they hadn't actually given them the full explanation or really given them enough depth on those topics. So let's give you an example of some of the things that were brought up in this particular report. One of the things was that it was important to optimize the meta tags on your website. This is an important factor. It's not a lot less than it used to be, but it is still important to get your keywords into your meta tags. And when I talk about meta tags, I'm talking about your page title, your page description, and to a much lesser degree, the meta tag for your keywords. Now, this organisation had said that they needed to put more effort into the keyword meta tags. Now, and they had listed maybe a dozen words. Big no-no as far as I'm concerned. The search engines such as Google don't actually put a lot of emphasis on the keyword meta tag. So you can put stuff in there or not, but as I mentioned earlier, it's important to never really optimize for more than one keyword on a page. But what they had failed to say was the importance of having a page title and a description for each page, and they need to be unique. It's very, very important. It's also important to ensure that that page title is not more than 70 characters and that the page description is not more than 160 characters. Now, I'm saying characters, not words, so don't get confused there. Another thing that they had failed to pick up on was the fact that this website did not have a privacy policy. Now, in Google Penguin Update last year, this was a really important factor. This is what Google wants us to have. They want us to have certain elements in our site, such as a sitemap, and we need two different types of sitemaps, one called an XML sitemap, which is for the search engines, and then we need a link in our footer, which is a human readable sitemap. Then, of course, having a privacy policy, which is especially important if you're collecting the details of people through your website. Another thing that was not picked up on in this report was the importance of ensuring you have a user-friendly 404 page. Now, a 404 page, in taking that out of TechnoGeek's sort of terminology, is a page that people land on when the page doesn't exist on your site. Now, this can occur because maybe a link was broken and sends to a page that's no longer there, or maybe they've typed something into the web browser and they've made a mistake. So they're actually sent to a page that doesn't exist on your site. What Google wants us to do is to ensure that that page is user-friendly. What does that mean? What that means is that you explain to people what's happened. Like, oops, you've come to a page that doesn't seem to exist. Perhaps you might like to go to the home page, and then you give them a link back to the home page. Or you might even suggest that some of your top pages or your top blog posts, perhaps you might like to view, and then you can have some links to some other pages. Think about what would be the next best step for somebody to take if they were to land on your site on a page that doesn't exist. Where would you want to send them? Okay, so have that information on your 404 page. The other thing that was not picked up with this report is that this client's website had 22 pages on their website where they had a 404 error. It's really important that you clear these up, and if you're not sure how to know if you've even got them, go into Google Webmaster Tools, make sure your site is connected to it, and check to see if there are any 404 errors. Having 404 errors can actually affect your website's ranking and your page rank, so it's really important that you do fix them if Google's picking up that you have them. So what's the lesson to be learned here, by my client or by you? If you're listening, you're thinking, well, how do I know if I go out and get one of these reports if it really is giving me the information that I need to know? A couple of things. First of all, you might like to get a second opinion because if you see that if the reports come back and they basically say the same thing, then you can rest assured that you're pretty much on the money. If they come back completely different, then that would be a good sign that perhaps you need to pay attention to. You need to find out which company is reputable. The other thing is to do a little bit of investigation, see if you can get someone to give you a referral, someone that they know has had a good experience with a third-party organisation, a web developer or online marketing company. Of course, through Super Savvy, we have Super Savvy websites and Super Savvy SEO, and we can certainly help you with any of these sorts of reports or helping you to get your website optimized. So if that's something that you feel that you need to start looking into, or if you want some advice, please be sure to contact us. We have a team of experts that are ready and willing to give you a hand in any way that you need. So that brings us to the end of our Word of the Week from Super Savvy Business. My name is Fiona Lewis, and we'll see you next week.